What's going on, everybody? It is like 6 or something in the morning, and it's nice and hazy. The sky is juicy, filled with water. So I said, let me go out for my little walk while I pontificate, about what it is we need to do as black people, why it's not so hot. All right, I had a thought, and that thought is, what can we do as black people globally, right? I'm gonna try to give y'all some views and stuff. What can we do as black people to improve our children's ability to succeed right now, right? We know what the situation is, right? We talk about it all the time. We know that our children, sometimes can be led down the wrong way, and the thing is, if you're an adult, right? And when I mean adult, I mean if you're 35 and above, all right, I'm talking to you. 35 and above, right? Our goal should be preparing the future for our children. Oh yeah, by the way, this is not the official video, but that is the solar power water borehole system that my subscribers financed. You did that, all right? So it's here, all right? It's here, it works, it's set up. I just ain't did the video yet, because to be honest, every time I'm supposed to do the video, there's some stuff I gotta do, and then it get hot, and it's too hot to come out here. I ain't gonna lie. So I promise y'all do the video, but it's there, all right? So thank you, everybody, all the subscribers who did this small Pan-African project to provide clean drinking water for the community, so that people can come and be able to collect their water, and conveniently, for whatever reasons that they, want to collect it for, right? So yes, it's here. Thank you, thanks again, subscribers, because you paid for this, not me. I just called the people, all right? That's what I did. I got some more sand too, so that's your money. Look, let me tell you something. All right, I'm gonna use that sand. I know y'all paid for it, but I'm gonna use it for my own shit. All right, what y'all gonna do? All right, anyway. But anyway, we're gonna talk about the Qs. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Those the babies. All right, those the babies, and those are some ones who'll be using those. Those are students who go to university, because where my village is, right? Just Ekiti State is like the intellectual capital of Nigeria. It's the college universities everywhere. So if you ever found a smart Nigerian, they probably come from here somewhere, right? Right. No disrespect to the rest of you Nigerians. I know how y'all get, right? Oh yeah, do y'all know this is the state of Sade? Yeah, you know the singer Sade? This is where she's from. Yeah. Just so y'all know. All right, Sade. I'm in the state of Sade. All right. All right. But anyway, this video is about children. And I have a strategy, to be honest, what I think that we should do with our children, right? Because like I said, if you're an adult, your goal should be preparing the future for your children. That's it, right? Like, there was a time. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. There was a time where the average lifespan of a person was 35 years old. You lived fast and hard, right? Right, so we supposed to be old geezers by now. Like, we big supposed to be out here. We supposed to be ready to die, whether by arrow or by sickness, right? That's, but we're living very, very long lives, right? Right, but the lives that we do live are so stressful that we don't get to pay attention to our most important investment, and that's our children. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? So this is my strategy, and my strategy is based off my experience, right, and my observation. I think, and I believe, and I know that what we need to do with our children, and I'm talking about young ones before they're able to fight back, because, society, especially Western society, white Western society, has empowered our soft-brained children to believe that they have more agency than they really do, right? And they've given them the tools to do that. The same way they have given women in the West the tools to disenfranchise men via welfare and other governmental welfare services. They have also done the same thing with children, right? They have the same ability to destroy their parents' lives if they get their cell phone taken away. And we're at a point to where you got children acting out when they get their cell phones snatched away from them, when they get their PlayStations, that they don't know how to act, right? So this is what we need to do before our children becomes their brain matter solidifies. That brain matter solidifies. We need to be instilling in them the thing we want them to learn, do, and be inspired by very early, much earlier than what we do, right? And the problem is we're so busy working, we don't pay attention to our children because we're surviving on behalf of feeding our children, right? And we're at work, right, for 16 hours out of a 24-hour day, and we're sleeping the other 4, right? And we pay attention to our children for 20 minutes as we pass them to the TV, to the internet, to whatever you got to do to get out of my way so I can survive while I'm taking care of you, right? But that leaves our children alone and by themselves and ungovernable, right? So example, I'm an expert in counterterrorism, right? So it means I have studied, right, and participated in interactions with terrorist organizations and how they create child soldiers. You know, how is a child soldier created? How do you convince a child, an innocent child, to go out here with an AK-47 and murder people? How do you do that, right? Now, let me give you a little view because this is pretty nice. This is nice and peaceful. I just thought this was a nice little view with little palm trees and stuff in the back. How do you get a child to do that? An innocent child who otherwise would just be playing, right? But now he's got an AK-47 and he's shooting people and he believes in all this crap, right? Well, Islam, right? And that's why if y'all don't notice, I'll be harping on Islam real hard. Islam is an anti-intellectual religion. That's the truth, right? Now, when you hear people say stuff like, oh, Islam used to be, the Islamic world used to be the center of, how you doing? Good morning. Used to be the center of intellect. Those people weren't Islamic, all right? Those people, like as you see today, right? The version of Islam back then, the one that was more closer related to African spirituality, the primordial version of Islam, that before it got bastardized by the Catholic Church, because it wasn't even called Islam back then. Those people, those North Africans, are the ones who created the intellectual, era. All right, in that particular era, because we was already intellectual in Africa. That's the thing about it. We are the intellectuals, and we just kept giving it to Europeans, and they kept stealing it, right? But the way you manipulate a child is, while their brains are still malleable, meaning the synapses, the connections in the brain are still connecting, right? They're not connected. So when you make one point to the next point to the next point, how the electrical currents inside the brain connect and find different ways to get to point A to point B and solve different problems within the brain. While the brain is young, you can convince a child of anything. That's why we have so many Black African American Christians. That's why we have so many, because when you grew up, right, they took you to church. You weren't Christian when you were born. You were indoctrinated by your grandmama, who was indoctrinated by her grandmama. You were indoctrinated by your mama. You were indoctrinated by your father, who's the pastor, who was indoctrinated when he was a child. So we're passing along data, generation after generation, that's false and doesn't belong to us, right? Because as we're young, we are impressionable, right? So if you use religion as an example, we're at the point where try to get somebody not to be Christian now, even though common sense will say none of that belongs to African people. That was the tool used to enslave us, right? Because we hate everything about slavery except for Christianity, which was the tool to enslave us. We hate everything about slavery except for the main tool and of Christian. The main thing that enslaved us was Christianity, that white Jesus. We can't give it up. Why? Because it's been implanted into our brains, right? So what do we do? How do we use that for our advantage? What we have to do is we have to take the knowledge that we know that if you capture a child young, you can turn a child into a child soldier, right? You could turn a child into a little mini pastor. How many videos you seen with little children over here preaching the Bible like a grown man? Huh? And we say it's cute. That shit ain't cute. It ain't never been cute, right? So what we have to do is use our ability to be intellectual, right? We need to be more intellectual, and we need to download better information into our children younger, before they're able to fight their parents, before they're big enough to throw a punch, before they're big enough to walk out the house. We need to grab them when they can't do shit, and we need to instill in them education, and we need to take more control of that education. You understand? We need to hook them on phonics. Let me give you an example of me, right? I was a badass kid, man. I was bad. Good morning. Yeah. I was a terrible, right? A terrible kid, right? But I had a strategy, all right? I was a little thief. I go in the stores. I was good. Let me tell you something. Gone in 60 seconds. What? I was that dude. I was proud of it, okay? Okay, I really was that dude. When I was a little kid, I was bad. I go outside and all kind of bad stuff, right? And of course, I got in trouble and I got caught a lot, right? And so I became an expert at making excuses. I'm that dude. Listen, I can make an excuse about anything, because in my mind, when I got caught, I had to explain why I did what I did in order to maybe, hopefully, not get my ass whipped. And it never worked, because I always got my ass whipped, right? And so, when I tried to do that with my grandma, shit, that shit never worked. I got a hard-nosed grandma, right? My grandma had 14 brothers and sisters. So that means been there, done that. And as a grown adult, I now understand what that means. Been there, done that with my own kids. Like, I really been there, done that, and I did it better than you, right? And so anytime I got caught, right, I would try to make my excuses. And my grandma, right, who dark-skinned grandma, all my family's dark-skinned. Like, I'm light-skinned because just so happens my father's light-skinned, the only light-skinned out of 14 brothers and sisters, right? And my mom's light-skinned, the only one out of her 2 brothers, right? One of my uncle was light-skinned too, but the rest of the family's dark. They look like they came straight from Yoruba land, like no bull. I went to a family reunion once. You'd have swore I was in Africa having a family reunion, right? But that's neither here nor there. But my mom, she put me on Hooked on Phonics early, right? Like, legitimately. That's why I be saying that shit, because Hooked on Phonics stimulated me. That was a great program, Hooked on Phonics, right? So early, I'm talking about early, while I was still playing hide and go seek, my mom forced me Hooked on Phonics. And then Hooked on Phonics and other little things they had going on in the 90s. Thank you, Marion Barry. I'm a Marion Barry product, just by the way, because when Marion Barry was the mayor of DC, he may have had his own personal issues, but I mean, he was taking care of the kids. And thanks to him, I had little book magazines about science, had magazines about space, about dinosaurs, and I was able to be curious and get curious about things that I would never have been exposed to, right? That got my brain working. That got me connecting dots and doing things I would have never done. That got me problem solving. That got me doing all kind of stuff at a very young age that I wouldn't have done, right? So, it solidified, right? So that was one thing. And then another thing was my grandma and her version of punishment. And you tell me, have you ever had this kind of punishment before? My grandma was big on education, and she didn't believe in not having homework. So anytime I came home and tried to lie about not having homework, even if I tried to do my homework at school so I would not have homework, she wasn't having it, right? So you know what she would do? She would like, oh, I'll make you homework. She'll go grab a newspaper, and she'll find an article, and she would say, I want you to write me. And keep in mind, when I say young, I'm talking, I'm 10, okay? And younger. Like, it started before I was 10, right? And continued on until I went into the Marine Corps. She didn't care, right? But, at the time, I didn't appreciate any of this. I thought I was being punished. She'll get an article, and she'll say, you're going to write me a 10-page report. And I'm 10. What do you mean a 10-page report? Like, what? Right? So I would go upstairs and she would make me go in the room, no TV, no nothing. 10 pages, and she meant back and front. All right. Number 2 pencil, college rule paper, no skip lines. She didn't play that shit. She worked for the government for 40 years. She didn't play that shit, right? Right. She was one of the first ones using a computer back when it was a Macintosh. All right. Back then. All right. So what she would do is when I would be done with my report, she would have a red pen. And I had to do it with a pen. Do you understand? And her rules was no mistakes or you're doing it all over again. Right. And what she meant by that was it had to be perfect. Now, we all know perfection is damn near impossible. And she knew that. Right. So I would go upstairs and I would write my 10-page report. Right. And I would come down. Now, fingers hurting. Right. I'm up here for hours. My whole afternoon gone. Right. All because I didn't have homework. And I would come downstairs and she would have me stand at attention right next to her. And she'll grab that red pen. Red. And if she marks anything, that whole 10, back and forth now, and I'm not exaggerating about 10 pages back and front. College rule, I'm not exaggerating at all. That's the thing about it. If I made one mistake, guess what? I had to do that whole thing over again because she wanted perfection. Right? So, of course, you're going to make a whole bunch of mistakes. So she would take that pen, red pen, go, bam, that word is spelled wrong. Oh, you forgot to dot your I? Okay. Big old red pen. And every time that red pen, she grabbed that red pen, I was devastated. I'm talking because I knew it was over, right? And she would go over the whole thing, and I'm standing at attention. And she said, go upstairs, and then she'll write notes on what to do. Go upstairs and do it again, right? So keep in mind, I wrote it. It wasn't always 10 pages, but sometimes it was less, right? Sometimes it was 8 pages, but she's going to do at least 10 pages back and forth, right? So I would go upstairs and do it again. But, of course, I'm 10. So I would make a mistake again. I would come downstairs, and she'll grab that red pen. Boop. Zoop. She'll make another mark. And then I'll be like, I get so frustrated, right? I'm talking about next level frustrated, right? Because I thought I got it perfect, but she found one mistake, right? And sometimes I throw tantrum tantrums. And no matter what tantrum I threw, no matter how I felt about it, she was standing there stoic. I had a hard grandma. Stoic. The way she showed love was through discipline. She came from the 20s and the 30s, all right? All right, so she wasn't caring about me whining and complaining about how I had to do it over again, right? So after I threw my tantrum, and she stood right there and watched me throw my tantrum, she'd say, now go on right up there and go ahead and do it. Go right up there and do that damn paper again, right? So I would reluctantly, right? But then I would go up there and I would go do the paper again. Come back down. And I would sit there, and of course she'll grab that paper, that pen. And when she grabbed when she grabbed that red pen, it was like a weapon. It was like I saw like chi come out the damn pen, right? I'm like, right? But when she would go over it, she'll go over it again. She'll go over it again. And then when she didn't touch it, and I knew I got it right after however many attempts, because listen, I was going to sit there and do it until it was done perfectly. I had to solve that issue. That means I had to display patience, right? I had to display attention to detail, right? That means I had to overcome adversity. That means I had to overcome disappointment. I was going through a whole range of emotions, okay? A whole range of emotions at 10-year-olds that a lot of children now are not going through. They're not stimulated in that manner through education, right? So if you wonder why I'm the way I am now, the way I do my videos, the way I talk, the way I articulate myself, it's because of my grandma. First is because my mama hooking me on phonics. And Marion Barry, thank you very, very much. May God rest his soul, the ancestor. And my grandma not playing around, right? So I know that what we need to do with our children is we need to get them young, down there at 10. We need to stick books in their face and don't allow them to go out and do this. Don't allow them to do what they want to do. They should not be able to do what they want to do at such young ages as they are doing now. Because if they are allowed to do what they want to do at that age, when they become adults, they'll never be able to do what they want to do because they won't be prepared. Many of our children are just not prepared at all. They're not. They're just endless distraction and entertainment. That's it. Endless distractions and entertainment. We got to get away from that. Now, I think taking their phones away now is a bad strategy because we are in the age of information, right? So taking their phones away is counterproductive. You take their phone away, they're just going to go use it. They're going to find a way to get online because that's their world. It may not have been our world. It may not have been analog was our world, but this is their world. So we have to understand that portion and use technology to our advantage. There's so many ways to stimulate our children utilizing the technology they're already using that we need to get them involved. And I encourage you to allow your children to play video games. I encourage you to play video games with your children because some video games, they do stimulate the mind. They do stimulate problem solving. Our children don't know how to solve problems. They get frustrated and they don't know how to handle their feelings because they've never had to practice their feelings and dealing with situations utilizing their feelings, right? So we need to be stimulating and having them go through this early. Like back not about 99.99% of human history, a 10-year-old was an adult. At 10 years old, if you can get up, move around, you were an adult. You were a man. You were walking around here. You were living life. You were doing things. You were solving problems. Our 10-year-olds now are spoiled. We say they're not grown until they're 21. And damn, look at the 21-year-old now. They barely grown. You know what I'm saying? So we are causing the arrested development of our children because of the way the society is set up, at which we are so busy working. You know, there's just no time to invest in our children and make sure they're okay, right? And so I think we as Black people, we know the future is robotics, AI, advanced technology. We need to be encouraging our children into those fields. You need to be buying science magazines for your children when they're young. You need to be taking them to the science museum when they're young. You need to be taking them to the history museum when they're young. You need to be putting the Discovery Channel. We all know that's a propaganda channel. You need to be putting real information that will satiate their souls and get them interested in things early before they go outside and be manipulated by somebody else to teach them something you don't want them to learn. You understand what I mean? We need to distract our children with knowledge in academia. That's when we Black people are at our best. When our children are knee deep in academia, their children are the best. We can't keep just putting a basketball and a football in our kids' hands. I understand that used to be the easy way out because we're athletically gifted. So, of course, that's easy. But nowadays, even that's not easy because, listen, Europeans will go over there to Africa, to the Caribbean. They can find there's so many Black people. Even that's no longer an advantage because if you look at the sports now, it's all Black people. So you're competing with your peers. So that means your advantage is not really an advantage anymore. But they make you believe it is. So everybody think they're going to make it. Everybody who's 6 foot something think they're going to be a damn basketball player. Just because you 6 foot something, it's like, oh, well, that's all it take. Well, back in the day when there was a whole bunch of white people playing, yes, that's all it took. But now everybody's 6 foot something. So what makes you so special? You understand? Just because you 275 pounds at goddamn 16 don't mean you're going to the NFL no more. It used to back when it was a bunch of white boys, right? But now everybody 275, 300 pounds and can run a 440. So those days are over with. Easy peasy. Let me just be an athlete and become a millionaire is over, right? So we need to get our children excited and involved with various other disciplines. Look how, I don't want us to take their example fully, but we can modify it and make it better. Like Indian people, right? Indian people, they kind of force their children to do certain things, engineers, this and that, right? Even if their children are not interested in it, right? Which I don't recommend, right? But like the Indian, we need to force our children at least in a broad direction of academia, right? At least in a broad direction, right? And give them choices. You know, the same way the government gives us a choice of who we elect as the president, we need to give our children a choice of what they're going to do for the rest of their goddamn life. You understand what I mean? We got to take more control of our children. And it has to be young. If you're going to wait till your child is 13, 14, it's too late. Because some dude outside already got him on a path, right, to his non-future. That's the thing about it. The dude outside, right, because you at work, the dude outside got you on a path. And that's another thing. So in order for us to be able to do this with our children in an environment, in a situation where, you know, we all have to work, right? Now, how do we do now? So this is where we get to the problem solving portion, right? So how would we solve that? That means black women stop having children without husbands. First, we need to do that. Stop having children because you want to have a child without a husband. That it doesn't go that way. Go get a husband, then have a child, right? Because the thing is, and then when I say go get a husband, get one that can provide for you. You should be going on dates. If you can't take the boy that you messing with to your father, right, then he's not worth it. If you have to hide your boyfriend from your parents, then he's not worth it, and you know he's not worth it. You are just being selfish, and you just want to be pleasured. But you're not thinking about your future, and you're doing your children a disservice. You go get a Young Thug and wonder why Young Thug ain't taking care of his children. Or wonder why Young Thug got 15 other children by 15 others, and so he don't got time for your children. That's because you chose that, right? So, and men, at the same time, men need to stop thinking that just because you're a man, you are owed sex by women. You need to earn that. In nature, a buck got to go earn it. In nature, a lion got to go earn it. In nature, every single and multicellular creature on this planet got to earn sex. It's not given. Only the strong survive. Only the smart who can adapt live. That's the thing about it. But we got men who think that access to sex is something that's supposed to be just given to them because they're men. And then they get frustrated when they don't get it. And now all black women are bitches. Right? So the problem is our family structure is not conducive to raise a child and give them the attention that they need. We need a man to be able to go to work. And a woman's going to have to work too, right? And both of them are going to have to equally give time to the children early and stimulate them. The same way y'all black dudes and y'all black women will give your job overtime so you can make that extra $5 because the government done taxed $10 on that $20 you made, right? The same way they do that, you need to go ahead and do some overtime on your children. You need to invest in that. Because if you don't do that, it don't matter how much money you work. It don't matter how much overtime you work. Your children are going to be failures in life. When they become 18 and 21, they won't leave your house. They won't be able to write a check. They won't be able to get their driver's license because they can't pass the test. You understand what I'm saying? They won't even try to take the test because they're intimidated by the fact they got to take 25 goddamn questions. It get that bad. All right. And we as parents, we do that to our children. And then and black women, stop doing your children's homework. Stop passing them along in school because y'all do that. Y'all know we do that. Stop enabling your child to not be able to deal with situations and complications in life. They got to feel some of this shit. If you don't let them feel how life is early, it's going to be too late. And that's what we got to do. So we got to make a conscious effort, right, to grab hold of our children early, young, before they, like I said, can rebel, right? While they're still young and spry and while they're still able to be interested in these things. Show them what a dinosaur looked like. Huh? Show them an old building in Africa. Maybe one day they'll be the ones to discover a new African civilization that was great that we don't even know about. We got to stop letting these white people get into these disciplines. You see, white people, because of they exploited everybody else, they have created environments to where their children don't have to suffer and their children can go off and be archaeologists. Their children can go off and do this because they don't have the stresses of life. they can go to these universities and do these things. And they don't have to go to the top university. You can go to goddamn public school, all right? You can go to public school and get a good education, all right? So you don't have to go to top university. Just get in there and then allow yourself to self-teach, because that's most of these people are self-teaching. University only going to teach you so much, you know? So we have to do that, guys. Take control of our children. Take control of the agency that we have as black people. Use the power we have inside of us. And this goes for all black people globally. We all have the power. We just have to control our energy, control our black force. And we got to grab it young. We got to focus it like a laser so that the next generation will be intelligent. The next generation will be developing the next technology that will move humanity forward. And here's the thing. Black people are poised to take over the world anyway. So since we're poised to take it over the world by default, because we got the numbers, because despite the shit that we go through, despite the literal, we've been dealing with some shit for about 2,000 years. Imagine this. 2,000 years, and we add them Arabs, right? 2,000 years we've been dealing with the worst type of hardship any human being, group of humans can go through. And yet we still survive, thrive, and we still growing, and we're not even using 1/10 of our power, not even 1/10 of our energy, not even 1/10 of our potential. And they can't kill us. They can't destroy us. But with all that being said, we're still poised to take over the world by default without trying. But what are we going to take over? Because they dying out. That means they ain't going to have a bunch of archaeologists. They're not going to have a bunch of historians freaking lying about history. It's going to be us left. We're going to have to take over all these fields, all these robotics, making all these microchips. We're going to have to take over all that. Now, how are we going to do that if we don't prepare our children right now to get into these industries and fields? Our children are already coming out the box smarter than us, and we're not even taking advantage of it. Our children are coming out the box 10 times smarter than us. And they got access to all the world's education. But we are not focusing ourselves to make sure that they can take advantage of that. We're not doing it. And that's what we got to do. That's our job. If you're an adult, you got children, that's what you need to do. If your children are teenagers, it's too late. All right? Hopefully, they will self-correct. Because, listen, 15, 16, they already got their mind made up. Ain't shit you can do. No matter how much you try, you know it. Life gonna have to teach their ass a lesson. What can we, So, but we can do it when they're young. They should be in real libraries. We still got libraries. They should be hanging out in a library so that all that knowledge is right around them. They ain't got no choice but to absorb some of it, right? And we need to be active in it. We need to continue to learn with them. We don't have to learn as much as them, but we got to learn enough to be able to push them up the ladder. You understand? That's our job. We got to leave something for our children. You see, unfortunately, for the last 2,000 years, we have not been able to leave shit for our children because everybody been stealing it from us, taking advantage of the fact that we so goddamn nice and kind and naive as black people, thinking that everybody else is like us. And we always give everybody else the benefit of the doubt continuously, even though they have shown us that they don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. They don't deserve grace. They don't deserve understanding. They don't deserve any of that shit. But yet we are so nice to a goddamn fault. It's sickening. Right? Now, of course, we're probably never going to change that. But our niceness doesn't mean we have to allow people to hurt us. Because we're gods of war. Right? So we need to, and we've displayed that when we fight each other. So we need to have that same energy for them, right? And also display the same grace that we show all these white people and all these Arabs who ate us, enslaved us, cut our genitals off, raped our women for 2,000 years. The same grace we continue to show them, we need to turn around and show all that shit to us, right? And all that fucking hate and all that tribalism that we show each other, we need to turn around and show that shit to them. That's how it needs. We need to turn this shit around. And it starts with our children. So, that's what I think we need to do. And we need to focus on that. That's why my YouTube channel, I argue with old dudes all the time. Ignorant old people. And I know we have elders. I respect my elders. But an old fool, I do not respect. Do you understand? So, dropping your age on my channel don't mean shit to me. Your age, you could be either an elder who I respect or you're an old fool who I have no respect for. Because dumbasses get old too. Because dumbasses seem to survive. Because dumbasses are propped up by our enemies. Coons like Charleston White. Coons like Anton Daniels, propped up by white supremacy, financed, made millionaires, made to be rich, given resources. Coons. The bad genetics of Africans are empowered by our enemies, while the good people are not. That's why on my channel is really geared towards young people, even though not many young people watch me, right? But some of them, they're trickling in, because I know, and I don't need to be super famous. So that's why I don't sell out my integrity, right? So I can get more views, because those people who are seeking this knowledge, they're seeking the path, they're going to run into me, right? That makes it for me to have a good subscriber base. I have one of the most intelligent subscriber bases on YouTube, and on YouTube, not just black YouTube, on YouTube. I got one of the most intelligent subscribers based on YouTube. We actually complete sentences, paragraphs and shit. They be using commas and periods and all that shit. Fucking dotting the I's. How you dot an I online? Shit, they be dotting the I's online. That's how smart my people is, right? And we need that environment for our children. We need better representation so our children can see it. You heard me in my other video talking about how we as African Americans, as a group of people, how we influence other African people. We need to make sure that they see us in a different light. They see us as intellectual. How is it that think about this. How is it that us African Americans, who are an example, listen, African Americans are a literally embodiment of Pan-Africanism. As African Americans, we are West and Central Africans incarnate, mashed together with pressure like a diamond over thousands of, well, not thousands of years. That would be all Africans. But this current generation, over 500 years of struggle, 500 years of the worst treatment any human being can be treated. And still within that 500 years, we invented all the great shit that makes society great. We invented all the shit that gives us the tools to liberate ourselves. Still, yet you got people that think that we are stupid while using the technology that we invented to call us stupid. In their cars, stopping at stoplights that prevent them from dying while thinking that we stupid and don't do shit. Imagine that. It's like we feeding these people and they say we can't cook while eating our food. It don't make sense. So all I'm saying is we got to do a better job at representing ourselves and showing people that who we really are. And that starts with our children. They're the only ones that matter. These old geezers talking about some foundation of black Americans, all these 50-something-year-old, they're done, they're baked goods. We don't care about them. It's about the children. That's why this tour with IShowSpeed is so significant. He's not the first celebrity to come to Africa. You know how many celebrities come to Africa and do the same thing? But you know why it don't hit as hard? Because those celebrities cater to adults that's already baked and done. Those celebrities don't represent the future. They represent the right now. They represent the past, right? Celebrities been coming to Africa getting their citizenship. They've been coming to Africa showing how great it is. They've been coming to Africa showing the wonderful culture. They've been doing that shit. They've been doing, like, it's people who got more money and more influence as far as numbers than the IShowSpeed has been doing it black for years. But the thing is, what makes this significant is IShowSpeed and his subscribers, that 40 million, those are children. Those are the future. And the only thing we needed them is to see exposure. Like I've been saying this whole time, is about the exposure and what they are exposed to, what they see. How do we craft a reality around them? How do we change the narrative? We have to do it. We got to stop waiting for white people and white media to do it for us. We have to do it ourselves. And if we do that, we will attract what we want to attract to our children. Our children will be attracted to what we want them to be attracted, which is black excellence, valuing education, problem solving, comprehension. Because goddamn, if I ain't learned nothing, these FBA Negroes, these 50, 60-year-old old fools, right, that just found their black pride somehow, which is weird because if you've been in America for any amount of time, you've been knowing you were African, and you always knew you weren't an American, and you should know what an American is, and you should know, like, this shit should be common knowledge, and apparently FBA don't have any common knowledge at all, right? Foundational, black Americans, not big hat foundational black Africans. Right? We know that's African Americans. Good morning. So I always wonder, they just be putting stuff on their head and just walking. It's so easy. I be like, they just boop, just walking like that shit ain't on their head and stuff. I'm like, I can't put a hat on my head. I can't barely keep this shit on my goddamn head. Anyway, I'm just saying. And by the way, have you noticed that when you look at like Egyptian and African, if you look at Egyptian art, see, here's the thing. If you look at Egypt, right, and what they wrote on the wall, and you look at African art, it's all the same. They're carrying fishes on their head. They're carrying bowls on their head. They're carrying it the same way. You don't see Arabs doing that shit. Why the Arabs don't be carrying shit on their head? But they say them Arabs in North Africa, they be saying they Egypt. They don't carry shit on their head like us. These black people carry every fucking thing on their head. Okay? All right? Everything. That's what we do. It's balance. It's that center of balance. Nobody got that center of balance like us, right? Use that shit as an analogy. The center of balance, the math, the spatial awareness it takes to carry a bucket on your head on the ground that is not even. Just think about that shit for me. It looks simple, but it's not. That's some complicated stuff that we master. You don't see them Arabs doing that shit. I'm just throwing it out there. Think about it. And that's called exposure, right? So we have to expose them to the truth, expose them to their history, expose them to their people in the proper way, expose them to technology, expose them to their future. That's our job. Before we die, that's what we need to do. Because your life is over. All right. That's what we need to do. Anyway, I've been running my mouth for what, 41 minutes? God damn. I'm a long-winded motherfucker. I tell you what, I told you, man, listen, I can make an excuse for like 20 minutes. Listen. Why did I eat your sandwich out the refrigerator? I have to explain. I got it instantly. I can tell you why. All right, I can freestyle that shit. But but anyway, I don't do that. Allegedly. But yeah, so I hope y'all guys understand. This is the conversations we need to be having. These are constructive conversations, right? How do we need to move past what they did to us and what we need to do to them and what we need to do for ourselves. It's time to take action. None of this talking. White folks are showing us who they are. Again, just in case we forgot. Right now in America is the greatest history lesson. Here, they tried to... now, think about this, guys. Think about it. This is hilarious. They're actively, right now, they are tearing down slavery and civil rights history in America, right? Thinking that we're going to forget while reenacting it as best as they can in the present. Let me say it. They are trying to whitewash history and say that they're not racist and Jim Crow didn't happen and none of that shit happened. They're doing that, right? While simultaneously reenacting it, right? They reenacting it right now for us in the present. For all those who forgot. You can't make that shit up. That's how fucking stupid they are. Okay? So let's not be stupid, right? Let's seize the day. Let's be more intentional about our Pan-Africanism. Let's be more intentional about our children, right? And their future. Take control. Stop letting this white government give our goddamn children all this freedom to be nothing. They clearly don't know what's best for us. All right? It's time for us black people to get back to being black and excellent. All right? Anyway, that's all I got to say. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out. All right, I can't go without letting you see this view. All right, let me turn this thing around. I just want to let y'all know that, this right here belongs to you. No desert called Israel in the middle of nowhere. No desert, no. This is the true land of milk and honey. This is, in fact, the true land of milk and honey. And it is your birth right, whether you accept it or not. It is, in fact, your birth right and your inheritance. I encourage you to come get it the same way I did. If I can do it, you can do it. Peace.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan!
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.